Regardless of forest, I am Old June. Today we are talking about a special backyard of the USA, Cuba. Our briefings, we talk about after Second World War, there are communist countries and the USA, Western world, they competing each other for almost 70 years. Until there's 1962, a Cuba crisis happened that was very famous. And then we talk about the nuclear submarines. And then Cuba, after U.S. economic and financial sanction, what happened to that country? How the people living? And what's so special about Cuba? Their medical system and their educational system. And then at the end, we're talking about Guantanamo, the port, the first U.S. overseas Navy base. Okay, let's start. 1921, the Communist Party of China was established, claiming that only the Communist Party could save China. 100 years later, in 2024, now there are only 5 communist countries left in the world: China, Vietnam, Laos, North Korea, and Cuba. It seems that only China can save the Communist Party. And Cuba, a truly peculiar backyard of America. It's only about 270 kilometers away from the U.S. Have you forgotten the Cuban Missile Crisis of October 1962? It is still vivid in our memories. At that time, the U.S. President Kennedy discovered that Khrushchev was shipping nuclear missiles to Cuba. The U.S. Navy blockaded Cuba and demanded that the Soviet Union dismantled its missile facilities in Cuba. If Khrushchev did not agree, the US and the Soviet Union were on the brink of nuclear war. In the end, the Soviet Union dismantled the missile bases in Cuba in exchange for the US agreeing not to invade Cuba and taking off the nuclear facility in Turkey at that time. Recently, the Russia-Ukraine war has escalated again, allowing Ukraine to use NATO's weapons to attack the cities at the border of Russia. Russia's response was to send the Kazan, the nuclear submarine, to visit Cuba in June with the Russian submarine fleet. After that, they will visit Venezuela. Speaking of nuclear submarine, USA has the largest nuclear-powered submarine fleet as of March 2023. USA 67, Russia 31, China 12, UK 10, France 9, India 1. China and Cuba has mutually visa-free agreement. So recently they were together very closely. Flights go directly to Cuba. A large number of Chinese tourists are traveling to Cuba. On June 6, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with the Cuba President's Special Envoy, Bruno Rodriguez-Parrilla, in Beijing for talks. China called on the U.S. completely lift sanctions and the blockade against Cuba. Generally speaking, countries that under U.S. economic or financial sanctions do not get by easily. Russia has not collapsed, but is wounded. Cuba, however, is truly wounded. How can a country survive solely on sugar, coffee, and cigars? During the Obama era, goodwill was shown towards Cuba, with some embargoes lifted and the tourism opened up. For a time, many friends rushed to travel to Cuba, marveling at the time wrap. Cuba was still stuck in the 1960s. Many 1950s to 1960s cars were running around the streets. Havana has old and new districts. One can feel the local people's plight and helplessness. Cuba's GDP per capita is estimated in 2024 is 7,599 and still uses a ration and a coupon system. Life for the common people is tough. Freedom is precious, but a better life is more valuable. It deeply underscores the importance of prosperity of the common people. Cuba's educational system is good, with nearly zero illiteracy, and its healthcare service is the only one in the world that truly achieves universal healthcare coverage. According to the WHO, World Health Organization 2013 statistics report, Cuba's average life expectancy ranked 33rd in the world. And the US is 35th and China is 83rd. Surprising? Cuba invests 20% of its GDP into free universal health care. Cuba's doctors are sent abroad in exchange for foreign income. They go to Venezuela in exchange for oil. The pillars of Cuba's healthcare system includes, number one, a unique family doctor system. Number two, drug supply policies. Number three, medical personnel training. Cuba was one of the areas first reached by the Columbus during the great geographic discoveries in 1492. It was immediately colonized by Spain until 1898, when the U.S. began to grow stronger. It fought a war with Spain, and Cuba fell into the hands of the U.S. In 1903, the U.S. made Guantanamo Bay in eastern Cuba a coal station and a Navy base. It was U.S. first overseas Navy base and has no time limit. It means it was ceded to U.S. Remember, last time we talked about Myanmar's Jiaopiao and Sri Lanka's Hanban-Tota ports, leased by China for 99 years. A classmate said, it seems like an equal treaty. Now, look at how the U.S. got Guantanamo from Cuba as a permanent lease. Wow, impressive. The famous American writer Ernest Hemingway lived in Havana for 20-some years, completing his famous works such as The Old Man and the Sea, Islands in the Stream, and Movable Feast, For Whom the Bell Tolls. In the 21st Century War on Terror, Guantanamo Bay detained 779 terrorists involved in the 9/11 attacks. Now only about 30 remain, with 9 dead and the rest transferred. What a nightmare. My daughter and I have a tradition Mother-Daughter Week each year. She asked me what else is on my kick the bucket list. I think next year I want to go to Cuba with my daughter. Now we stop here. Thank you. Please refer to your friends and we'll see you next time.